Hi, HR Nation. It's Chris Rainey. Welcome to HR Leaders, the show where we interview today's most successful and innovative HR practitioners 5 days a week. Today, we have a special guest on the show. We're joined by Tredgold, who's the Global Guru's top 30 leadership expert and speaker. Gordon, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Happy to be here.
Well, thanks for coming back to me, and I'm really happy to have you on the show. Before we jump in, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself personally and your journey to where we are today.
I learned a lot about leadership from playing sport, and then I moved into working in IT. Did a degree in mathematics. Started working in IT. Wanted to get to the top as quick as I could, but there was a fixed 6 months as a trainee, 12 months as a junior, blah 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 blah. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to, find a way to fast track it. So what I did was I decided that all of the difficult projects that everybody just steered away from, I would make a beeline for it. And people used to tell me, "You're crazy. What happens if it fails?" Well, everybody already thinks it's the toughest project anyway. So if it fails, there's no surprise.
Yeah.
There is no downside. There's only upside. And if I can start delivering some of these complex projects, I'll be able to build a reputation. So I started doing that, and I failed quite a bit at the start, but I started to understand what causes things to fail, and come up with processes and techniques to turn things around. And as I started to do that, reputation grew, and then I just moved on to bigger and bigger things, and then I ended up running $100 million departments, and then started to realize that that my problem solving and my lead from the front style was great. But now that we were getting into the bigger things, and I was managing people that were managing people that were managing people,
it gets a bit more difficult then.
Yeah, then I had to come back to what I'd learned in leadership from playing sport, and look at how to engage people, start getting them to believe in themselves, believe in the plan, believe in the vision, believe in me as a leader, and then leveraging that and empowering them. And that allowed me to then go up to that next level where I was able to run a $300 million department and lead a team of over 1,000 staff. So a lot of the things I've learned about leadership and now write and speak on have come from that practical hands-on experience of leading large teams and driving. I've driven performance improvements of 50 to 500%. And I understand what it is to lead and how to get people engaged and motivated. And then my number one skill is simplicity. Working in IT and with the mathematics, I'm able to break it down and then explain it to people in simple, step-by-step, bite-sized chunks what they need to do. So now I'm focusing on making good leadership easy to understand and accessible to people who want to become better leaders.
Yeah, because that's something we spoke about before the show, how many people overcomplicate things.
I wrote a blog. I did a post on LinkedIn, I think it was last Tuesday. 4 simple things you can do today that will improve your leadership immediately. Smile more, listen more, talk more, praise more. Thank you. You're welcome. If you do that, listening to people makes them feel respected. Smiling more makes them feel comfortable. Talking to them, and I don't mean just blah blah.
Asking them how they are, right?
Communication, but also telling them this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing. This is where we are in the process,
and this is what it means for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that asking them, listening to them, asking them questions. Because what I found was the higher up I went, the less understanding of the front line. Mm-hmm. So, and there's that saying, the guy on the front line knows more about what's happening in the battle than the general back in the office. So if you ask questions, you can often find out really important stuff. but it makes people feel, it feel valued. And then that last piece, praise, 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 praise. I did a talk where I talked about praise, and one of the things I'm keen on is praising effort, not results, praising effort. And people tell me, you're crazy. You should, what we do in our company is we wait until people are successful and then we praise them. Okay, 2 questions. How much success are you having?
Yeah.
Not that much, really. Okay, that's interesting. And secondly, when your first child took 2 steps and plunked onto its bum, what did you do?
Yeah, he was like, yay. He was like, keep going. She's nearly walking. She's nearly walking. She nearly made it. Like same with
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? Did it win the 100 meters? No. Why are you cheering? Because we want to encourage it to keep going, and one day it will walk, will run 100 meters. So just those 4 simple things will transform people's leadership. But yet you don't see that in any training. I've never been trained in doing that. It's just the things that I picked up from trying to interact and deal with people, and found that was working. So yeah, leadership is overcomplicated, and I'm here to simplify it.
Yeah. Well, on that last point as well, that was one of my most important things that I did as a sales director, is to encourage my sales guys every time they failed, because as a salesperson, you fail 90% of the time. You have to go through 50 no's to get a yes. So if you're not encouraging people, then they very quickly leave. And I saw other managers that were only rewarding that deal as opposed to the 50 attempts to get it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that was the most important part. Even when some of my team had really bad calls, I'd still praise them. And then I'd ask them, tell me, what did you think went well about that? And what do you think didn't go so well? And how can we improve that? So, and then turning that negative into a real positive, and then they get so much more excited and to get on the next call to try and test out this new way of doing it. So it's so important.
I read a stat about sales, but there's all different sales, so I'm sure it applied to a particular market and maybe not every market. But it said that 90% of the sales happen on the 4th to 12th call, and 90% of salespeople quit at the third call. So 90% of the people are getting right up to the finishing line and just going, you know what, I'm going to go. And that's 4 calls to the same person. So when you think about the encouraging, you've got to get them. If they don't make that 4th call, if that's true, if they don't make that 4th call, the best they're going to do is 10% of the sales.
Yeah. All I can say from a company that does that outbound sales, for us, is the 2nd and 3rd is where the very small percentage. We do have a lot of clients that then just register to be members of our community on the 1st, because we build up great relationships through content and and from providing value really outside of the paid product.
Yeah.
But most of the clients who come with us, there's an initial conversation. They go away, assess what we're doing, come back, 2nd call, maybe they have a few more questions, and the 3rd is normally when they sign up. So that is certainly true to some extent. And I know many people still give up on that 1st call or that 2nd call.
So I worked with a sales company who have a great sales tool, and one of the things I learned from them was that they were saying to me that your first call, and this is where when I'm going to talk about my book Fast, where the F is focus. What does success look like? And they were saying the goal of the first call is not to make a sale. It's to make an appointment. The goal of the 2nd call is to give them more information. It's the goal of the 3rd and 4th call to make the sale. So now you're not seeing it as a fail because you weren't after the sale. You were after, did I give them more information? Did I get a follow-up meeting? And then, if you're on the 12th call and they're still saying no, now you've probably failed. So it's that reframing failure. They did a really good thing of not only did they make failure acceptable, they actually taught you it's part of the journey.
Of course. And I wish I had that training. And my first year in sales was miserable, and because I think my own expectations weren't managed when I was recruited. I didn't understand that. What other job do you wake up and go to where you're told no 50, 60, 70 times, constantly rejection, dealing with rejection every, 10, 20 minutes of the day, constantly. It's not normal.
No.
And that's human beings. And that's human beings. So I think that's we spoke about this again before the podcast. I think one of the reasons that I've been so successful as an entrepreneur so far, fingers crossed it carries on,
Yeah.
is that I'm not afraid of failure. Failure is actually normal. I have more failure than success.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
Because all of the successes that everyone sees, no one sees all of the failure behind it that took to get to where we are. But unfortunately, people, when they jump into these new ventures, they expect success straight away. And they don't understand that failure is actually a positive, because you're learning, you're pushing yourself, you're innovating, you're disrupting your own way of working. I love it.
So one of the other things that I talk about a lot is simplicity. And simplicity is about understanding how success is achieved. And too often, people don't really know what the path is. And they put people into a job and they want them to figure it out. So when you take that sales job on and nobody tells you, oh, by the way, they are going to say, 9 people out of 10 are going to say no. That's okay. We're looking for the 10th person. If they don't explain the job to you, how the hell are you going to be motivated and engaged to keep going and doing it? You don't know that this is okay. You're going to think, this must be something wrong with me. Everybody's no. Now you disengage, boom, game over.
You leave. So you've worked with so many multi-billion-pound organizations and their leaders. What are the top reasons why companies and businesses fail with their projects? Because I speak to HR executives every single day, and behind closed doors, their biggest problems are, the actual projects they're trying to execute on, and managing the different stakeholders, the culture, etc., the investors. And it's just and a lot of them fail along that journey.
Yeah, so 70% of projects fail, 95% of tech startups fail, 95% of product launches fail to hit the revenue target. So when you look at failure, I've done a lot of research and study into this, and also having been a turnaround expert, I've looked at what it was I do. And when you look at failure, there are basically 4 reasons why we fail. We don't know exactly what the goal is. When you don't know what the goal is, people end up doing the wrong thing. And when you do the wrong thing, doesn't matter how well you do it, you're going to fail. The second thing, it's a lack of accountability. People they're not clear on what their role is. They haven't got the tools that they need to do. They haven't been empowered to do the work. And again, that causes them to possibly end up not being able to do the job, or not doing the right job, which then causes them to fail. The next thing is we overcomplicate things, and we need to keep it simple. And that's understanding how we are going to do the job. Because even a complex job, if you can explain simply how you will succeed, people will give it a shot. As we talked about earlier, people are not afraid of hard work. They're afraid of failure. And if you believe you're going to fail, why would you work hard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're not bought into it and they see the path to success, then you're definitely going to fail.
And I tell the story about, when I decided to do my first marathon at 52, and my two best friends said to me, too fat, too old, too unfit. And I said,
that's all the motivation you needed, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
we're the same. You're like, I'll show you.
But I said, I've got a plan. They went, okay, what's your plan? I said, well, it's the London Virgin Marathon training plan. And week 1, you run for 15 minutes. They went, okay, you could do that. I went, all right. Week 2, you run for 20 minutes. Okay, you could do that. Week 3, I run for 25 minutes. And they said, are you just going to run 5 minutes more every week? And I said, yep. And at some point, I'll be up at 4.5 hours. And on that day, I'll run a blinking marathon. And they looked at me and they said, we'll do it with you. So they went from telling me I couldn't do it.
Because you showed him how simple it was to add the extra 5 minutes. Absolutely. I love that. Honestly, it's...
we haven't made the marathon go from 26 miles to 5 miles. Mm-hmm. We haven't said that the training is now going to be 2 weeks instead of 6 months. All of that hard work remains, but they could see how step by step by step by step by step. And if we so I don't know how I'm going to run 26 miles, but I know I can do what I need to do today. And I know that I can do what I can do tomorrow. And as long as you have that step by step by step, why not give it a go? And this is too often people in companies have no clue how success is going to be achieved. And we live in a complicated world, and we make no effort to try and simplify it. And sometimes that simplification is just the communication of the complex, breaking it down so they can understand.
I've been in those situations in companies where it's like, Chris, our revenue target's going to go up by 20%. And I'm like, that's fine. How are we going to get there? And there's no plan. It's just, we just need an extra 20% increase in sales. And they're actually doing a disservice, because when you fail and you don't hit that 20%, you feel demotivated. My team feels demotivated. We're looking at the sales board every single day saying we're failing, we're not doing great. But there was never, ever a plan of action or like a steps of this is how we're going to achieve it.
There are only 3 ways to drive revenue. Whatever it is you're selling, sell it at a higher price. Whatever it is you're selling, sell it to more customers. And whatever customers you're selling to, sell them something else. Those are the only 3 ways. So when people tell me we're going to increase our revenue by 20%, my question is, which of these 3 ways are you using? Show me the plan. And if you're not using one of those 3 ways, you don't have a plan. You're expecting a miracle at some point to happen that's going to generate. And if people can't see that miracle, they will disengage. And there's some interesting research by Geneva, I think they're called Geneva Group. And they did research into failure. And on 75% of initiatives that failed, the people involved knew day one that project was doomed. Not only that, they also said the majority of initiatives the company sets up are doomed from day one.
It's funny you say that, and I'm sure everyone listening right now, if you're like me and you're like Gordon, we all can think of a project in our own minds. I can think of 4 or 5 already right now in my head of previous companies I worked in. I was in that meeting, and you said, hey guys, and let's be honest, everyone, this is not going to work. And that already means you're going to fail. You've set yourself up for failure straight away.
Absolutely. And you want me to work? You want me to break a sweat? This thing that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
I'll be right. I'll be right on that. And then the last reason for failure is a lack of transparency, which is 2 things, and that's the understanding of what's involved. It takes a woman 9 months to have a baby. So if that's the task. If you commit to 6 months, it ain't going to work. If you commit to 3 months, it ain't going to work. If you hire 25 women, it ain't going to work. Some things take a fixed amount of time. And if you don't understand that, you end up committing to projects where the team come and go, well, that's never going to work. And then the second part of transparency we were talking about before is visibility into performance. So you've got all of the KPIs, you've got the feedback, so that when it's going well, you can say, good job, well done, fantastic. Or when it's not going well, you immediately know, so you can take corrective action. Because if I go on a diet to lose 10 pounds in 10 months, and you just keep saying to me, how's it going? And I go, great. And then we get down to month 10 and you say, okay, get on the scales. And I've lost like half a pound. Now in that last month, I'm going to lose 9.5 pounds. How's that going to work? We're much better off measuring every month and going, yeah, I expected, it's 10 months. You've achieved 10% of the goal. Good job, well done. Good job, well done. And we can give people positive reinforcement and feedback. Or we can say, what is it that we need to do to now get back on track? Because clearly this 12 donut diet ain't working. Let's look for an alternative. And that's why companies fail. It's as simple as that. A lack of focus, lack of clarity around the goals, accountability, simplicity, and transparency. And if you fix all 4 of those, you will transform performance. And you will also create engaged, excited teams, because they know what they have to do. They've got the tools to do it, and they believe they're going to be successful. Mm-hmm. I've had 12 people who never would have run a marathon if they'd have been left it, have come to me and said, we'll do that, and successfully done it. And in businesses, I've helped them transform performance from by 50 to 500%. And one of the things that I often see of people I've replaced is that plaque on the wall that says faster, better, cheaper, pick any 2. When you put things up like that, you're already saying it ain't possible. You've already accepted
Yeah.
defeat, and we need to have that kind of positive mindset and be looking at solutions and explaining to our teams. Because when we do that, we get buy-in, and when they've got the tools, boom, they will achieve amazing results.
And also at the same time, I'm sure you saw this for, I think you said at one point you was managing like 1,000+ employees. Yeah. Those leaders start to lead their teams that way.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when it gets really exciting, and those results compound, and you create that as a culture.
Yeah.
And they understand themselves that, okay, I've got this task, got this project now, and they take the same approach that you've just kind of outlined as well, and how they're going to achieve that. Is that something you see as well?
Absolutely, because I drilled that down, and because fast is simple. Are you clear on? We were running a program to they wanted to save 30 million euros a year from operations, and I upped it to 50 million. But before that, when they tried to do it, they'd never communicated it to the team. So I had two goals. One was we're going to save 50 million a year, and the other was that we're going to improve performance by 25% in the year. And they said, what about the other goals? Well, there are no other goals.
Yeah, exactly. Why is there any other goals?
These two things. And if I ask you to do anything that doesn't deliver cost saving or performance improvement, just point it out to me and I'll say, you're right, forget it, don't do it. Because we want everybody pulling in the same direction and the right direction. When you get that simplicity, it makes it really good. And then the other thing on the accountability at that company, what I did was everybody was bonused. And when I got there, they were, our performance is not great. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm looking at it. I said, what do we get bonus for? And they said, oh, we get bonused on the number of training days. I went, okay. Does training impact performance?
What, they get a bonus on training days?
They had to take 6, HR mandated, everybody had to have 6 training days.
But not the results of those. So you can just go to training.
Correct. So
all the workshops in the world if you haven't got results.
The office is and people haven't got time to take the training days, so it all gets moved out of the last November, December, and then you get to early December and the building's on fire. And it's like, where is everybody? Oh, they're doing training. Yeah, but the building's on fire. Yeah, I know, but if I don't get the training in, I don't
get my bonus.
So we'll let the building burn down, but don't worry, I'm all right. And I went, you know what? We're not doing that. These are our goals. 50%, 50 million saving, 25% performance improvement. Your bonuses are tied to that. So we tied the bonus, because now, although I've got clarity around goal, which helps them focus, I'm giving them money. I'm giving them money for doing training. So what are they going to focus on? What benefits me or what benefits them?
Exactly.
If you're not sure about the answer to that question,
you're in trouble.
You've got bigger problems than So let's have this. Let's both get bonused on the same thing. And when I did that, and it got that clarity, and people could see how easy it was, that just rippled down the organisation, and that's how we got a 500% improvement. I didn't get that. I created a 25% improvement and showed my leaders how to do that, and then they replicated it across 1,000 people. And when there's the story with the British cycling team who didn't win any gold medals.
Now they're amazing.
He did that by 1% improvements, improving everything by 1%. Let's improve everything by 1%. And when you get everybody doing that everywhere, that's how we got to 500%. Because, all teams were saving 25%. Some were saving it in different areas. And the accumulation of that was amazing. But we had everybody on the same page. Everybody was focused. Everybody was accountable. Everybody was keeping it simple. And we had transparency in a performance. And the reason why you need transparency in a performance is, if you don't have transparency in a performance, what are you holding them accountable for?
Mm-hmm.
The colour of their tie, how well their shirt is pressed, how polite they are in the office. You can't do that. You've got to have visibility around performance, and then we hold them accountable for that. And if you do that in a way that is supportive, then people will accept that, and now boom, they've got the tools, they've got the visibility, and you're just off to the races.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
well, thanks for sharing that story. It really puts it into context. And it's funny that you say that because my first job was in sales. So I didn't know anything other than I do that, I make more money.
Yeah.
So it was very clear. Like there was no other. And then when I first moved into different roles outside of sales, I was really confused. I was like, why do you do what you do just for a salary? Or why do you do what you do just for that? And I was really confused because I was like, I had my salary, but then I could always control my earnings based on how much I was willing to put in terms of sales, right? So when I was working in production or operations or marketing, I found it really hard. And to how that reward system looked like.
Yeah.
A lot of times the bonuses were set in different ways that I was used to. And I was like, well, how do I directly impact that myself? So if you don't have it really clearly set out, people aren't going to go above and beyond to achieve.
Absolutely. I get a 20% bonus whether I do a good or a bad job.
That's crazy.
Okay, I choose bad job.
Yeah, what are you thinking about? Because most companies now, I know like Google, my friends work there and in sales, and they have it. It's always all of the bonuses are team based. So what are your thoughts about that? Because I know most companies now are switching towards team based to build a culture, and the fact that you guys work together. We're in this together through good times and bad. We're going to help each other along, and we're going to achieve this result in the sales, for example, and we're going to get our bonus based on that. What are your thoughts around that?
I'm not a huge fan. What I've seen work, I've seen us do that, and I like the idea of it. I'm just not convinced whether it's optimal, because the last company I worked at, where we got the 500% performance, what we did was we had 50% was individual and 50% was team. So what we wanted to do was we wanted people to go and do a great job, figure out how to get their bonus, and then show everybody else.
Oh, right. Okay. Makes sense.
Because now I get my second half by showing you how I got my first half.
Interesting.
And it gets you away from these guys, I'm Lionel Messi, but I'm playing for Brentford.
I know that. I know that feeling. I've been in teams where it's team-based bonuses, and I've I'm doing 40% of it between 6 people. I've done 40% of the sales, and all being rewarded the same. So that's also something that can work against you.
So when I did the running, what we did was we were quite competitive, because we'd never run a marathon before. So one of us would we'd be running like 5K, and then there'd be a time when only one person would turn up. So what they would do is they would go and run 7K and go, "Oh, I've run 7K. Let me show you how."
Exactly like me and Shane. You can't help it, can you?
But what you want is you want that kind of friendly competition where I get to here, and then I pull you up, and then you leapfrog over me, and you pull me up, and then you've got everybody pulling everybody up. And if we're all getting bonus the same from the collective team bonus, it's amazing. And one interesting thing that companies never cease to amaze me. I worked for a company who I won't mention, and we had a great bonus situation, and they said we want to set a 3-year bonus target where we're going to just blow our performance out of the water, and if we hit it, we'll give everybody double bonus. Whatever your bonus is, we'll give you double bonus. And it was like, yeah, brilliant. Everybody's super motivated. We smashed the target, and then the head of HR calls me in and says, "We've got a problem." And I said, "Okay, what is it?" And he said, "Well, we haven't budgeted the bonuses."
So you expected us to fail. You just threw the carrot out there anyway. You just dangled it.
You haven't budgeted for success. Seriously, is that what you're telling me?
Wow. That must have been disastrous for the
Well, essentially, what we need to do is go back to your team and tell them that now, looking back on what they've achieved, it doesn't seem as impressive.
Oh, my God.
And I just said, you know what?
I'm not doing that. No way.
I just say, if you want me to do that, I'm happy to do that. But we have a piece of paper that I've signed and they've signed.
Yeah.
And I want you to give me in writing instructions, orders to go and do that, because that's a contract that I can't break. If you tell me to break it on your behalf, I'll go and do that. But I am not doing that at all. And they said, "Oh, you don't understand. You're giving us a problem." I was like, "Sorry, you didn't budget for success."
You agree, exactly. That's crazy.
And we've hit a revenue target. You know, the company's made more money than we've ever made. Use some of that money that we've earned for you to pay us the bonus you promised when we earned that for you.
Yeah.
And so we went through all this, and then they came back, and then HR. HR was just the messenger on this.
I understand that as well, because obviously they're relaying it through.
Yeah, and they came back and they said, you know what, we've got great news. And I said, okay, what's that? And they said, we can pay the full bonuses. I was like, okay. They said, you don't seem happy. And I said, but
yeah, you shouldn't even had that conversation first place.
You might as well just keep the money, because everybody's peed off.
Oh, did they find out about it?
I had to go and tell all my direct reports that this was coming.
And that spreads like wildfire in any organisation. Let's be honest, it doesn't matter.
It's like, guys, this is what I'm being told I'm going to have to do. So I'm just preparing it, because we need to think about as a team how we're going to communicate this down. And then when they came back and said, "Oh no, everything's fine,"
they ruined all of the positive.
So I've got the money.
Shame.
I've got the money that was supposed to motivate me, but now I really, really hate you, because I know you don't want me to have it.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, so just before we wrap up, Gordon, just to recap the FAST method. Do you call it the method? What's the FAST method? I just threw that out there.
FAST method. It's just fast.
Yeah. So for everyone, obviously, that's focus, accountability, simplicity, and transparency.
That's what, who, how far. It's
amazing. So for anyone listening now that wants to implement this in their organization, what advice? Or in the team, in their own leadership style, well, what advice would you give to them on how to go? That's some actual advice they can take away today, go back in their office maybe next week or tomorrow and implement this.
So the best advice would be to hire me to come in and run a workshop, hire me to come in and do a talk, or buy the book. But it's actually a simple process. Do you have clarity around the goals and objectives? Do you know what success looks like? Do we have clear roles and responsibilities and have them being communicated? Can you explain simply how we get from A to B? And do you have visibility of that journey from A to B? And if for every project, business, anything you're doing, if you can answer yes to those 4 questions, then you have set yourself up for a probable failure. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. And once people get it, it just transforms performance. And it's easy to adapt. It works with Agile, any methodology, because it's more of a mindset. I did something with a company where they said, oh yeah, I said, have you got clear goals? Absolutely. I said, what's your clear goal? They said, we're going to double our revenue in 2 to 4 years. I went, brilliant, crystal clear. And they went, you think so? I went, no. It's easy to understand. I said, yeah, but is it 2 years or 4 years? Because the plan to double it in 2 years requires 50% a year growth. The plan to do it in 4 years requires 25% growth. Those are 2 different plans. You can't have 2 different plans running in parallel. Or are you going to let your teams decide and one team's trying to do it twice as fast as the other?
You've already started off in the wrong foot already.
And I don't care whether it's 2 or 4. Pick one. Make the commitment. Create a plan that will deliver it. Communicate that to your team, and boom, off you go. It's a very simple approach, but it's ridiculously powerful.
Fantastic. Well, Gordon, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share with the HR leaders listening to the show right now?
Yeah, I've got one thing I'd like to say. I wrote an article on this about employee engagement.
Oh yes, so I don't know how we missed it. Sorry, yeah, because this everything we've just spoken about directly affects employee engagement, right?
Yeah, and we keep running employee engagement programs, but the reason why employees are not engaged is because one, management's not engaged. When you look at the stats, management engagement is at 30%, and also it's the leadership and management's job to engage people. So all the employee engagement programs are treating the symptom and not the root cause.
Interesting.
So just think about that. You're treating the symptom and not the root cause. And we need to find a way to get managers engaged, and the way we do that is getting them to see how they can be successful, giving them the tools to know how to engage and set teams up for success. Because when they think they can set a team up for success, they can communicate that, and that will engage teams. So employee engagement is a management issue, not an employee issue. And every company I go to where we complain about that, it really pees the employees off
Yeah.
to hear that I'm the problem that you're creating.
Yeah, and even if they don't mean to say that, it comes. Yeah, even if they don't mean to say that, it comes across that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So, what in the article? What were some of the pieces of advice you gave?
Well, it was just get that mirror out and understand that employee engagement is a management issue, and we need to treat the root cause, which is providing, management doing their job of providing clarity of direction, giving people the tools and things they need. One of the things when I talk about on accountability, you can't make people accountable. Accountability has to be accepted. You can make them responsible. You can say, this is your job. But accountability is about them taking ownership. And you can't make anybody take anything. You can give it, but you can't make them take it. And there's a very simple technique I use. And this is, I ask people, do you have everything you need to be successful? And when they say yes, they have implicitly accepted.
So their unconscious mind have kind of told themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I worked with one leadership team, and they said, oh, I don't want to ask them that. And I said, why not? And I said, well,
you're not giving it to them then, are you?
I said, why don't you ask them that question? He said, well, what if they say no? I said, fix it.
That's your perfect opportunity to fix it.
And that's your job.
Yeah.
And if you don't give them everything they need and they fail, don't be blaming them. You didn't do your job. Very, very simple. Do you have everything you need to be successful? And when they say yes, they've accepted ownership and accountability.
Amazing. Well, Gordon, I really appreciate you taking the time out to join us on the show today. You've definitely provided some great actionable advice for everyone listening. So I know everyone's going to be a lot better off for it. So thank you so much for that. But before we wrap up, if there's one parting piece of guidance you could give to all of our leaders that are sort of leading people and delivering on these projects right now, what would that be?
Leadership's a contact sport. Get out, and I say, smile more, listen more, talk more, praise more.
Fantastic. Well, guys, as always, if you head over to hrleaders.com, you'll find the show notes from the episode. Everything we've been talking about will be linked on the website, so you guys can view. Also, Gordon, where's the best place for our listeners to learn more about you and get in contact with you?
So I'm in the unique position of I'm the only Gordon Tredgold in the entire world. Bizarre, but true. So if people just go and Google Gordon Tredgold, you'll find out. Yeah, I've written 1,200 articles. You'll find them on my blog, Inc. Entrepreneur. You'll find my Twitter account, or you can email me at gordon@gordontredgold.com. And one of the things I'm doing, if there's any companies in the US that are listening, I've got to bring. I've got like 4,000 copies of Fast in the US, which I need to bring over to the UK, which is going to cost me a fortune. So if any company would like 500 copies of it for free, just let me know.
Guys,
the postage, and I'll send them. We'll send them to you.
There you go, guys. You're gonna get the whole book. You can't complain now. So
I'll do it as a batch of 5. If you want 500, just let me know.
Amazing. What a great opportunity.
Pay postage. Well, I want the approach to get out. It works.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if everyone listening, there you go. What a great opportunity you have the book in your hands. So make it happen. And they're going to go pretty quickly because you've got, a few 100,000 listeners. So yeah, look, guys, again, Gordon, thank you again for joining us. I'm so excited. And guys, definitely take Gordon up on that offer. Grab a copy of the book. And also, you guys deliver these workshops every day. Get someone like Gordon, bring him in for the day to meet your leadership team. The reason I invited Gordon on the show is that I've heard great things from our customers, and a lot of the work he's done have had amazing feedback. So take advantage of it, guys. And again, Gordon, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best until we next speak.
All right. Thank you very much.